So D.C. has this fantastic plan to boost tourism by taxing tourists more.
We're kind of scratching our heads here on this one, but we'll hear you out.
Yeah. So D.C. leaders say tourism has taken a hit since the pandemic.
Yeah, and they're hoping this tax will raise money in their advertising budget to help promote D.C. around the country and around the world. Delia Gonzalez is live in the studio to tell us how big of a tax we're talking about and how's this going to work, Delia?
I know, it's quite the talker. I'm sure if you mention tax and everyone kind of stands at alert and at attention. So on the surface, this does sound a bit counterintuitive, right? But the hope is to keep the tax small and as painless as possible, D.C. leaders say, raise enough money to help promote the district and attract more tourists. Well, so let's do the math. Let's talk the numbers. Hotels are already tacking on a 12% tax when you book a room. So if approved, this temporary tourism tax would add 1.3% to that. Destination DC says that will raise more than $20 million a year and put the district on par with some other big cities and their advertising budget. So why do we need to promote DC and do more? Well, because tourism officials say we have not rebounded since the pandemic, losing about $3 billion and 22,000 tourism-related jobs. This legislation would make this extra fee temporary, starting April next year until March 2027.
There are several large cities that are doing the same thing, which is this temporary tax. So if the tax increase isn't too high, it's not going to have a net decrease in tourism.
All right, so the CEO of Destination DC sent me this statement saying, quote, increasing tourism creates real benefits for the city and residents, like more local jobs and tax revenue from visitors. He goes on to say, as we compete globally with every other destination trying to regain market share, these dollars will give us the wherewithal to remain equally as competitive. So this emergency legislation is one of several measures up for vote tomorrow. And that is the last session of the current D.C. Council. So it's going to be a busy day. I'll be back at 6 o'clock with a look at a bill they're proposing aimed to protect homeowners from bad developers. I'll see you then.
Yeah, we'll get to all that later. But so we're talking about like a nominal fee. So they're hoping that little $4, $5, maybe up to $10 fee is something you might not recognize on your hotel bill potentially.
Right. It may or may not be itemized, right? So folks may not be aware that there's an additional tourism tax, but they're hoping to slide it in, make it small enough so you won't feel the pain. And eventually, you know, Destination DC will get millions of dollars out of it.
Yet another line item we have to pay a close attention to on those bills.
But if they feel like it's going to get more people into the city and renew some of these jobs that have been lost and haven't regained, then, you know, kudos for coming up with one idea.
You got to weigh it, right?
Yeah.
Will it work? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Thanks, Delia.